The real reason a married man wants you, what it really means, Carl Jung. You are experiencing something that you cannot explain. A married man shows interest in you in an intense, almost desperate way. He risks everything, family, reputation, stability, just to be by your side. And the question that keeps popping into your head is, why? What does he really want from me? Today, I will reveal the psychological truth behind this behavior. And believe me, it has nothing to do with what you think. It's not because you're special, irresistible, or because his marriage is over. The real reason is much deeper, disturbing, and is ingrained in the male psyche in a way that most people never understand. What I'm going to show you now will destroy your romantic illusions about this situation. Get ready to understand the hidden mechanisms that move this man, and especially what it reveals about yourself. The truth hurts, but it liberates. 1. The unresolved shadow and the marriage of appearances. When a man marries without having faced his own inner demons, he takes into the relationship everything he never had the courage to look at in himself. We are talking about those rejected aspects of the personality, those parts that he hid because they were not accepted by the family, by society, or by himself. Repressed anger, unfulfilled desires, abandoned dreams, deep fears. All of this is still alive, pulsating in the shadows of the mind. The marriage then becomes a perfect external structure. In the eyes of all, he built an admirable life. He has a wife, children, a house, stability. Photos on social media show an accomplished man. But inside there is an abyss. The life he created does not reflect who he really is, only who he was thought he should be. And the more the years go by, the greater this mismatch between the external image and the internal truth. That's when you show up. Without realizing it, you represent everything that has been locked inside it. Perhaps it is spontaneity that he has lost. Maybe it's the freedom he never had, or the emotional intensity that your marriage doesn't allow you to express. You become the living embodiment of everything he rejected in himself to fit the role of a responsible married man. His interest in you is not romantic in the genuine sense. It is a desperate attempt to reconnect with lost parts of oneself. He doesn't really want you. He wants what you symbolize. He wants to play again what he buried years ago. That's why the intensity is so strong, almost obsessive. It's not love. It's psychological hunger. It's a man trying to feel whole through someone else because he never learned to integrate his own contradictions. And the most dangerous thing about it all is that he firmly believes that what he feels is real. Because for the first time in a long time, he's feeling something true. The problem is that this feeling has nothing to do with you as a person. It has to do with what you activated in him, with internal doors that opened that he didn't even know existed. 2. The projection of the anima. You as a mirror of the lost feminine. Every man carries within himself an image of the ideal feminine. We're not just talking about physical attraction or romantic preferences. This picture is much deeper and more complex. It was formed throughout his life, starting with his relationship with his mother, going through his first passions, the women he admired, the characters in movies and stories that marked his imagination. All of this created an internal portrait of what the complete woman would be, the woman who would fully understand him. The problem is that no real woman can be that perfect image. The wife, with all her real humanity, her bad days, her everyday imperfections, could never live up to this fanciful ideal. Over time, disappointment sets in, not because the wife is inadequate, but because she is too real to compete with a fantasy. When you come into his life, something extraordinary happens in the male mind. He's not seeing you as you really are. He is projecting upon you this whole inner image of the perfect feminine. You become a blank canvas where he paints his own desires, his unmet needs, his idealized version of female connection. Your every gesture is interpreted through this filter. Each word gains meanings that you may not even intend to give. This projection is extremely powerful because it feels like magic. He feels that he has finally found someone who understands him deeply, who fills voids he didn't even know he had. The connection feels instantaneous, almost spiritual, but it is a psychological illusion. He's not connecting with the real you, he's connecting with his own mental creation that coincidentally has your face. And here's the big danger for you. The longer this lasts, the more he'll start to realize that you're human too, that you also have flaws, bad days, different opinions. And when the projection starts to crack, when the veil falls and he sees you as a real person and not as a symbol, the interest can disappear as quickly as it came. Because what he was looking for was never you. It was always a part of himself that he lost touch with. If this makes sense, remember Jung. We risk everything only when the unconscious finally sees the one thing it was starving for. Click the link pinned in the first comment and understand why he wants you and what it really means. 3. The existential emptiness disguised as desire. There is a specific type of emptiness that strikes men in the middle of their lives. It is not depression in the clinical sense, nor obvious unhappiness. It is something more subtle and corrosive. It is waking up every day and realizing that the life you have built no longer brings meaning. The work has become automatic. The marriage became a predictable routine. The dreams of youth fell by the wayside, and now, looking forward, he only sees more of the same extending to the end. This emptiness is terrifying because it questions everything. It questions the choices you made, the person you became, the purpose of continuing to do the same things every day. It is a crisis of deep meaning that many men do not even know how to name, much less process in a healthy way. So they do what the psyche always does when it can't handle something. They turn the internal problem into an external search. The desire for you becomes the magic solution to this emptiness. Suddenly, his life gains color again. He feels butterflies in his stomach, like he hasn't felt in years. The heart races. There is anticipation, excitement, something to look forward to. Finally, he felt alive again. And in his mind, you are the cause of it. You have brought meaning back to your existence. But the brutal truth is that you didn't bring any meaning. You have only temporarily filled a hole that already existed. It's like throwing new furniture into a house with a cracked foundation. It may look beautiful for a while, but the structural problem is still down there. His emptiness was not born because you were missing in his life. It was born because he lost connection with his own purpose, with his deep values, with who he really is beyond the social roles he plays. And here's the cruelest part. When the novelty wears off, when the adrenaline of the forbidden situation subsides, the emptiness will return. Because the problem has never been external, it has always been internal. You may be the most intense distraction he's ever had, but distraction is still distraction. And no person, no matter how special, can fill an existential void that can only be resolved through deep inner work. 4. The illusion of salvation through the other. One of the most common mistakes of the human psyche is to believe that someone else can save us from ourselves. This fantasy begins early, in fairy tales where the prince saves the princess or vice versa. And many carry this belief into adulthood without questioning it. The idea that there is someone out there whose mere presence will resolve our inner conflicts, heal our emotional wounds, give meaning to our existence. When a married man develops an intense interest in you, it is often this fantasy of salvation that is at work. He looks at his own life and sees problems that he does not know how to solve. He feels trapped, unhappy, disconnected from himself. And then you show up, bringing something different, something fresh. In his mind, you're not just an interesting person. You are the solution. You are the way out. If he manages to be with you, everything will magically resolve itself. This mindset transforms you into something much bigger than any human being can be. He's not seeing you clearly, he is seeing an idealized version that carries the full weight of his expectations of personal transformation. You become the embodiment of the life he would like to have, the person he would like to be, the happiness he thinks he deserves. It is an impossible burden to carry. The big problem with this illusion is that it never works in the long run. Even if he left everything to be with you, even if you built a real relationship, eventually reality would knock on the door. Because his problems are not in the marriage, they are in him. The unhappiness does not come from the wife, it comes from the unresolved issues he carries. And these issues go along with him wherever he goes, including for a possible relationship with you. Many women fall into this trap of believing that they are really special, that they can offer something that no one else can. And maybe you're special, yes, but not in the saving way he imagines. You can't heal his wounds. You can't give purpose to his life. You can't do the inner work that only he can do. And when he eventually realizes this, the disappointment will be devastating, because the fantasy of salvation is one of the hardest to let go. 5. The role of the forbidden in the male psyche. There is something about human nature that makes the forbidden intensely attractive. It's not a character flaw, it's basic psychological functioning. When something is placed as inaccessible or morally questionable, our mind automatically increases the value of it. The forbidden fruit has always seemed sweeter, not because it was better, but because it was forbidden. And in the situation of a married man interested in you, this mechanism is operating at full strength. His relationship with you carries a charge of transgression that sets off all internal alarms. He knows he shouldn't, that he's crossing boundaries, that he's betraying commitments. And paradoxically, this makes everything more intense. Each message exchanged tastes like adventure. Each encounter brings adrenaline. Guilt mixes with excitement, creating a powerful emotional cocktail that can easily be mistaken for true passion. Compare that to his marriage. There is nothing forbidden there. Everything is allowed, expected, routine. The wife is always available. There is no hunting, there is no conquest, there is no risk. The security that was supposed to bring comfort ended up killing the tension necessary to keep the desire alive. He got used to it. And the human mind has enormous difficulty in valuing what is always guaranteed. You then represent the complete opposite. You are uncertainty. It's risk. It is the possibility of being discovered, of losing everything, of experiencing something that escapes the control of his organized life. And that's addictive. His nervous system fires dopamine each time he interacts with you, not necessarily because you're better than his wife, but because the situation itself is biologically stimulating. The big problem is that this type of attraction is unsustainable. It is built on transgression, on danger, on the forbidden. If he really did leave the family to be with you, if you built a legitimate relationship, all that spice would disappear. You would go from being the exciting lover to becoming the everyday companion. And many men who make this transition discover, too late, that what attracted them was not the person himself. It was the forbidden dynamics of the situation. 6. When the real interest is just escape. There are men who are not looking for you, they are running away from themselves. The difference is subtle but fundamental. When someone runs away, any direction will do, as long as it is away from the current point. You could be anyone minimally receptive, and the result would be the same. It's not about your unique qualities, it's about the function you fulfill as a distraction and escape. His life became unbearable somehow. Maybe marriage is emotionally dead. Maybe he hates the job, but he's financially stuck. You may feel that you have completely lost control over your own destiny. This feeling of imprisonment generates enormous psychological pressure that needs an escape valve, and you became that valve. When he's with you, even if it's texting, he can temporarily forget about all his problems. He can pretend that he is someone else, that he has another life, that he has made different choices. It is a type of psychological dissociation where he inhabits an alternate reality for a few moments, and this brings immense relief, even if temporary. That's why he seeks more and more, because it's the only time of day when he feels good. But this pattern reveals something important. Interest is not built on who you are, but on what you provide of forgetfulness. You are emotional anesthesia. It is the pill that relieves pain without curing the disease. And as long as you're available to fulfill that role, he'll keep coming back. Not out of love, not out of true connection, but out of the need for escape. The saddest thing is that this type of situation does not lead to anything consistent, because a man in escape mode is not available to build anything real. He can't make plans, he can't make commitments, he can't really be present. He is always half-minded in the problems he tries to forget. And you end up with crumbs of attention, with stolen moments, with vague promises that never materialize. Because deep down, he doesn't want solutions. He just wants to keep running away. And you're the most convenient escape route he's found. 7. The difference between fascination and genuine love. Allure burns fast and strong. Love grows slowly and sustainably. This difference is crucial to understanding what really happens when a married man shows intense interest in you. What he feels may seem like love for intensity, but it's usually pure fascination, and the two couldn't be more different. Fascination is born of novelty, discovery, idealization. He's fascinated because you're still uncharted territory. Each conversation reveals something new. Each encounter brings surprises. Your mind is always working to decipher you, to understand you, to predict you. This constant mental effort generates a sense of deep involvement that is easily mistaken for true love. But it's just the brain doing what it does well, focusing intensely on what's new and exciting. Genuine love works differently. It doesn't need constant novelty to keep up. It deepens over time. It doesn't wear out. He accepts defects without disappointment because he never idealized the person from the beginning. He chooses to stay even on difficult days, even when there are no butterflies in his stomach, even when the routine erases the initial excitement. Love is a conscious decision repeated every day, not an overwhelming feeling that disappears when reality appears. What this man feels for you has all the hallmarks of fascination. The intensity disproportionate to the time of coexistence, the obsession with every detail, the inability to think of anything else, the feeling that he has finally found someone who completes him. All this is fascination feeding on fantasy, because he doesn't really know you. He knows the version of you that he presents in the carefully selected encounters, in the edited conversations, in the special moments. He didn't see you sick, tired, in a bad mood, dealing with real stress. And here's the ultimate test. Allure avoids real responsibility. He wants the romantic version, but runs away from the everyday version. Genuine love takes complete responsibility. He wants to be present not only in magical moments, but especially in ordinary and difficult moments. If his interest exists only as long as everything is exciting and forbidden, if he disappears when you need something real, then it has never been love. He was just a man fascinated with a fantasy that had his face on it. 8. What it reveals about you, and not about him. Now the part that no one wants to hear, but that is absolutely necessary. If you're in this situation, if you're accepting crumbs of attention from a committed man, it says something important about you too. It is not judgment, it is an invitation to look honestly within. Is there a lack in you that makes this kind of attention seem sufficient? an old wound that is seeking healing in the wrong place. Because women who know themselves deeply and truly value themselves do not accept being a secondary option in anyone's life. No matter how intense his interest is, no matter how special he makes you feel in the moments when he is present, if he comes back to someone else's house every night, you're accepting less than he deserves. Maybe you believe that you are different, that your situation is special, that he will really leave the family for you. But statistics and human psychology say otherwise. Most of these cases end with the woman waiting indefinitely for promises that are never fulfilled. And even in the rare cases where he actually leaves his wife, the relationship that begins over lying and betrayal carries these marks forever. The truth is, you deserve to be a priority, not a secret. You deserve someone free to build something real with you, not someone torn between two lives. She deserves to be loved in the light of day, not hidden as if it were a reason for shame. And if he's accepting less than that, the job isn't to try to change him or the situation. The job is to understand why you think this is acceptable. Stop focusing on what he feels or doesn't feel. Stop analyzing every gesture, trying to decipher intentions. Start asking yourself, why am I here? What in me believes that I deserve only the stolen moments of someone's life? What emptiness of mine is being temporarily filled by this intermittent attention? These are the questions that really matter. Because as long as you are in that pattern, you will be unavailable to receive something genuine. You will be stuck in a cycle that only reinforces the idea that you do not deserve something complete and true. And this, more than anything, needs to be cured.